Hey, there was no music, but I think you can hear me. Sound check. Are you okay? Can you hear me?
I, I can hear you. The music was great.
Oh, cool. I didn't hear the music. I'm having technical difficulties today in almost every aspect of my life. So, welcome to
Oh
the
no.
show. Welcome to Second Lap. Yeah, welcome to Second Lap. I think technology is testing me. It's the Matrix, but I'll get into that.
Yeah.
I'll get into that later. Um, I am 2 weeks post 10-year anniversary, 35,725, as I continue to just it's a habit. Like I can just continue to walk and continue to do it on a daily basis. Last week it was 67 miles total. Keeps varying a little bit. There's always like a day where I have to give myself some compassion because life, and I'm an empty nester. So welcome Blaze, or I call him
Thank you.
Blazer. Blaze
Love
Hirsch.
it.
We've met through V Friends and the technology world and Web3, and then went face to face out in California. And I've been wanting to do this for quite a while, so I'm glad. I'm glad we made this happen.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here, and I might actually go for a walk too. I should walk too, right?
You can do walking, yeah. It was always sort of the thought process that both people would do walking, and there's no judgment. But yeah, if you want to walk, we'll walk and talk. It's um Yeah, I was gonna say the camera is the only thing that goes sideways. I actually, my hack is that I have like this plastic flexible tripod that can connect up on anything,
Uh-huh.
and I can turn my phone sideways and then I can carry it, and it's like I'm making Ryan happy and me at the same time because it's like I'm doing the whole grip strength, like endurance, where I'm squeezing my hand and holding this thing up. I've lost your video. I don't know if you're.
Oh, I'm just walking out the building. I'm gonna come right back in.
Oh, okay, cool, cool. Well, Blazer and I are going to walk and talk. We met VeeCon June 2024. We've done quite a few challenges, I guess, walking challenge, and we did a food kind of fitness challenge and some others. And um, there you are. Welcome back. And as I said, if we want to do this, I have my notes on my hand. I write it in
Oh, there we
Sharpie, and
go.
then yeah, so I have my notes on Sharpie. We met through V Friends. I said that already. You said that already. I am originally Quick Quail. Quick Quail took me to two VCons, and then I've since gotten a couple other ones that I think more represent me. Sort of Kind Kudu, Gracious Grizzly, and the world has enough love if you're listening out there. Um, so yeah, so we met through V-Friends. We met out there in person, and you told your story on your little clip with Gary, and I
Oh
heard,
yeah.
hey, yeah, I made this change in my life, and I did this. So maybe give a quick, hey, I'm Blaze, and this is how I altered my life in the last couple of years.
Oh, absolutely. So, hey everybody, my name's Blaze. I'm a registered nurse. Been a nurse for 15, almost 16 years.
I've lost you.
Family and leadership. And just the place that I was in, it just took so much away from my family. So this was when I was at the first VCon. Gary Vaynerchuk had this like call to action that's like, if you hate your job, stand up. And then he listed off a couple more reasons why you hate your job. There was like 20 people standing, and he was like, if you're still standing up, you should go quit your job on Monday. And so I didn't quit my job on Monday, but I quit it like 2 or 3 weeks later. And I moved from nursing administration to nursing education. And so
Okay.
now I've been full-time faculty for the past 2 years, growing new nurses, and it's been awesome. I get to spend more time with my family. It's unlocked a lot of opportunities within healthcare and outside of healthcare, and I'm connecting with a lot more people. So it's just I'm just living my best life.
Fantastic. Are you because I've watched, like Blaze X News. I'm trying to think of all the sort of things that I've watched that you've, kicked off and been doing. Are you looking to grow a brand? Are you looking to use it to sort of keep doing other things? What drives you, as opposed to sort of your social media strategy?
So I change all the time, and I like doing all the different things. But I like if you were to ask me, Blaze, what do you want to do in life? I'd tell you I want to do everything.
Okay.
Um, and so I love social media, and like there's lots of people that you talk to on social media that are like, you need to pick your niche, and if you really want to grow a following, you have to stick with that niche because people like structure and they like to see like I think about all the streamers that I like, it's because they focus on V friends or they talk about Web3 tokens or all these different things. But I'm like, I don't want to be committed to a niche. I mean, maybe eventually I'll come across one that's like I'll stay on for like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years, but I like to be more that person that's like, you never know what I'm gonna get into next. So like I wish I still had time to do Blaze on Next News every day, but and I might get back to that. But right now I'm I might make my channel a golf channel because I've been getting really into golf this summer for a
I
month.
saw that. What drove that? Just because you picked up some sticks and you shot a couple birdies? Was there something that drove you to like, hey, this is all of a sudden? Because I'm in sales, I've done it for years, and it's one of the most humbling freaking things you can do.
Oh, so the big thing is I'm always doing different fitness stuff. And so like 2 years ago, I picked CrossFit back up for a year and I'm like, I'm good here. And then I'm still doing Orange Theory and a little bit of yoga, but I'm like, I'm not
Okay.
doing anything outside. And so there's a lot of wind here, but I'm really blessed where I live. The Rochester proper has 6 amazing public golf courses, and you can get a pass Monday through Friday to golf as much as you want for $315 for the year.
Wow.
So I'm like, this is great. And the other thing is, my wife wants to get into golf, and we're always trying to do more activities together because we have limited time with all the stuff she does.
Right.
So I'm like, I don't want to look like a fool going out there and golfing. So I've started hitting up all these like 5:40 a.m. tee times. And man, Robbie, it's been like changing my life. Just getting out there, walking, being out in nature. I mean, I'm horrible at golf, but
Is
there's
there
no one
any
out
part
there.
of the game? Is there any part of the game that like brings you back? Like, there's always one hole that I shoot just magically, and it's like, "Ah, I'll play again." Like that's if it was anything up until that hole, I'm done. Like this was my last round. But that hole brought me back again. Do you have a short game? Do you like to chip? Are you, you know, hitting it long
I
and straight? I'm not really good with drivers. So what's your strength?
I think I'm a really good putter, like because they always say you need to master the two putt, and like once I'm on the green, like I'm a one or two putter, and that's what brings you back. Like I was playing, I usually play around at 9, 2 to 3 days a week in the morning at like 6 a.m. And it's crazy because I never paid attention to when the sun goes up or down, but they keep moving back tea times based on when the sun rises, which is
Yep.
really interesting to start living my life not by a clock but like by the sun.
Right.
Um, but with like last week I hit 9 and I hit a birdie on like hole 4, and then the rest I didn't even make par on anything. So and that's how golf gets you. It's just these huge dopamine hits. I don't like talking politics, but Trump shares all these videos of him playing golf, and, and there's lots of people that share it. And it's like, I suck, I suck, I suck. I'm not saying he sucks or is good or anything,
Right. Right. Right.
but
Right.
all these videos, it's like, man, when you hear that ball hit that, it's like Pavlov's dog. Like your mouth just starts watering, and you're like, man, that's it. That's why I'm here. And so I'm walking, and I'm getting the ball in a hole at least 9 times.
That's awesome. And I had a mentor or the person sort of brought me perspective for golf, and they said a putt on the green is equivalent to a 300-yard drive. They're both a stroke.
Yeah.
So figure out how to get, if you're like you said, hey, I'm a 1 to 2 on the green anytime, then go to the driving range and just start practicing on the layouts, the getting it up to the deal and work yourself backwards. And anyways, I didn't bring you on here for golf advice, but if you're going to do your golf channel, show them how to, just get better over time. And it's really a mental game. Like I said, each thing is just kind of crazy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you brought your bride up. You guys do seem to be very active. Is an understatement. Like I think you guys are aggressively on um the move, and
100%.
children, and yeah, I mean, just you're literally living the dream. And how do you, and you started to allude to it earlier, how do you break away and still be, boyfriend, girlfriend, and excited about all the broken TV and the shit on
Oh
the
yeah,
carpet, all that
that was
stuff? How do
fun.
you how do you do that?
Um, it's really hard. I'll say that, but I teach nursing clinical, like training these new nurses, and I always tell them,
Okay.
I'm trying to get you to do safe practice. I'm trying to get you all this stuff, but ultimately, as a nurse, I'm trying to get you to be a master of time and space because you only have this
Okay.
8 or 12 hour shift, and that's how I kind of view life. Is because, like I said earlier, I want to do everything in life. I mean, not everything, but a lot of things. I want to do like all the fun stuff. And so it's really just being a master of time and space. So it's trying all the things and figuring out, nope, I don't like this. And then just really seeing like, where can I unlock this? Where can I unlock this? And it's also
Right.
like, if something's taking up a bunch of my time and it's not something I'm really enjoying, how can I eliminate it and get rid of it? Which isn't
Okay.
possible in every aspect of life. But it's just really like, what do I want my kids to be doing? What do I want my relationships with my wife to look like? How do I want to spend my time? Like for my kids, for instance, because I'm trying to get them to be masters of space and time. Like my two big things I say to them every single day is like, hey, we need to move our bodies and we need to eat good food, which is like, for some people, oh, that should be really simple. It's not for a 8-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 4-year-old who all like different things and have different activities and are different beings. So
Right.
I
Right.
think that's my big mantra.
What does dad do as master negotiator? Is it a meal? Is it an event? Is every child, as you say, different? Or do you have like a magic, wave your hand and it solves a Saturday afternoon when you're on your own?
Oh, that's because if you guys don't know, my wife travels a lot. She's coming out with her second book in October, so she's doing a bunch of PR stuff right now, and she's been gone for trips 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 10 days, and so like managing these three kids, we're very blessed. We have an au pair. She works 45 hours a week, um, but there's more than 45 hours in a week, and so it's always trying to
Yep.
figure out. Oh, the wind. Um, how to get these kids to do stuff. And it's really hard because the older ones that are 8 and 7, they're almost like best friends. You'd be like, hey, you guys are best friends. They'll smile and be like, no, we're not. No, we're not. But they are. But
Right. Right. Right.
the baby identifies as a big kid though, and he's not. He's 4. And so he's always ruining all their fun stuff, which
Right.
I mean that like, that's just the reality that it is because he doesn't have the motor skills and the communication and all that stuff to do what they're doing all the time. So it's a
It's
lot
good
of
for them. It's good for both sets of the older ones to have to learn to adapt, help, negotiate. It's good for that. I had a 7-year gap between my oldest and youngest. So you saw that. Like there was
oh
the
yeah.
mothering of the youngest by the oldest, and then I don't know, the youngest grew up way too fast. So
Um, yeah, it's so interesting because since the younger one's watching the older ones, he's moving so fast through
Yep.
some of these phases. And from one perspective, it's like, oh, this is great. But then from another perspective, it's like, no, no, stop, you're going too fast.
Yeah.
Um, so he'll probably be co-sleeping with us till he's like 7 or 8, but to each their own. But
Hey, I sleep with a puppy, so I get it. It's all good, and the youngest is always that. You start thinking about sort of what do you call that? Like humanity. Like we've only got so long here, we've only got so many experiences, and as I said, I think you should do what you need to within reason. Like if a kid's screaming at the top of their lungs at the aisle and like just making an absolute scene, you probably want to take them outside and be like, "Hey, but in this, no, I got to quote Bill Cosby. I'm not sure. I'm not sure you can quote Bill Cosby yet if he's back
oh yeah,
in proper, so I won't quote him. But okay, so you're doing a lot of negotiations. You got them. Are they are they happy with what you're doing? Are they still? Because I was going to say I was a big time traveler for a long time. I was almost a year where I would leave on Sunday night. I'd come back on Friday evening late. So they had me, as a weekend dad, and I think more often than not, I would like disrupt life and cause there to be like a change to the system. And are you experiencing any of that where like they are sort of revolting or having some sort of problem with back and forth, or are they coping really well and just like, hey, we get it?
um, man, that's such a good question because my original. So I'm the more like kid planner. Like I plan all the activities because my wife does more like work professional stuff than I do.
Right.
So to me, it's always really important to try and carve out these times for my wife with the kids. And I think one-on-one time with a parent is the most valuable thing you can give a kid. And like it gets harder and harder the more kids you have. And so I'm constantly trying to capitalize on like what are my resources so I can isolate time to have one-on-one, and we're very blessed. And the whole reason we moved from Boston to Rochester was to be closer to family. And so we have Heather's parents here. My parents just moved here a year ago. So exercising, hey, can you come sit with the two kids so I can take this kid? Like I took the 4-year-old miniature golfing for the first time the other day.
Awesome.
And it's activities like that that like 3 or 4 days later, they'll be like, hey, Dad, can we go do that again? And that's where I'm like, oh my gosh, I at that moment, I was a great, what's the word? I was just exercising what I was just talking about, like being a great master of time and space because I was able to isolate that time, build
Right.
a core memory and something that, hey, like when you think of your dad, I don't want you to think about how many times I screamed at you to brush your teeth or turn off the TV. But oh, dad took me golfing. Dad took me bowling. We went on this hike. We saw
Right.
this waterfall. I know that I can call dad at any time and he'll drop what he's doing to say, like, hey, what's going on? Um, and so I think it's
It's
just so
very
important.
important. Yes, very important. Miniature golf. Do you see that as a hey, we'll try and make that sort of a monthly activity and go do it again? And or do you think that as a kind of a thing to try as many different things as you can? Right. I've seen kind of two different schools of thought, and give somebody a lot more variety versus kind of honing in, and then you got this like kid that's in professional soccer at 12 and
Yeah.
on a traveling team that's 7 grand a year, and like holy shit, they're just still kids. But I didn't just say all that out loud. um yeah, do you believe in like, hey, I want to just keep doing this because it's that we really think he could get better and enjoy and kind of become competitive, if that's the right way to describe I think what that sport eventually becomes, right? Or is it, hey, let's try everything we can until it's like you find this thing that's more your style, because they kind of different. We all my kids, my example here is all my kids started with soccer, and by the end, they all four did something different. One of
Uh,
them soccer, but everything, all the rest of them different.
um, I think it's a little bit of both because, like, for example, like he's like, I can't wait to go miniature golfing again. And then my other son, he did lacrosse last spring, and he's like, Dad, I hate this. I never want to do it again. And so, of course, you know, we spent $600 on equipment that's now sitting in my garage.
Right.
But the 4-year-old's going to try lacrosse in a couple of years, and hopefully we can still use all that stuff. So I think it's just like keep trying stuff. And if they don't like, because I think like I coached soccer for him 1 year and he didn't care for it that much. We're going to try it again this spring, though, but that was 2 years ago. And so it gets to this
Okay.
point where it's like, I'm forcing you to do this right now. You're not having a good time. I'm not having a good time. And so I think it's like so important. And that's why like I haven't been able to log on to Daily Dads a lot lately, just with everything going on in my life. But I think that's what the reasons why I love that show so much is because gave me an opportunity to really be reflective as a parent and hear what other people are going through, where it's, hey, if that's not their thing, that's not their thing, and that's okay. What can I keep moving them to do? Or what are some other activities? Because they do need to move their bodies. They do need to eat their good food, and they're not going to find it on themselves. So it's my job to try and find it for them.
I like that. I like that it gives them a peppering of experience. And cool thing is, and I didn't bring this up at the beginning, but they all, as I said, started with one, but then kind of branched off and did their, as you're having the older to younger, growth, that, I saw the younger one change direction sooner in his life than the older ones did, because he saw the older ones that made changes excel in these things that were outside of their, comfort zone. Does that make sense?
100%.
Okay. I'll make sure you can still hear me. Sometimes I get in this area and my sound goes away. You're able to hear me okay still?
Oh yeah, I can hear you great.
Cool. Awesome. So lacrosse is out. You're going to try soccer for the second time. Um, daughter, what do you think? Is she going to be soccer?
She's actually really into lacrosse. And
Oh,
it's been really cool to see her try it out and then start to get really into it. She likes to take breaks though, where like she does a season, then so she's not doing it year round, which I think is fine. But then like
yeah.
signing her up for some camps. But then it's also became something that like when my wife's home, they like to toss the ball around with their sticks in the backyard. And we got a nice little backyard with room to do that, which is great. Um, but it's so interesting because I didn't have any sisters growing up. And so it's been a huge shocker for me parenting a daughter. And my wife's
Okay.
constantly, she's going into 4th grade. And so my wife's always telling me, like, you've never been a 3rd grade girl, like, give her a break. And so that's one thing that I'm thinking about a lot because, like, she's starting to get a little boy crazy and she's always talking about her crushes. And I'm like, I know other girls her age aren't doing that, but a lot
Right.
are. And so, like, giving her grace and compassion with that. And I'm like, why do you need them? You have me. I'm your dad. Um, but I know that's just going to get more interesting over time. Uh, and the other really interesting thing is she got an iPad recently, and we've been using Chat GPT together.
Okay.
And for the youth, I'm really interested and also alarmed and concerned that they're going to start having more conversations with AI than their friends. Because I know we all use a lot of AI for like business stuff and seeking information.
Right.
But this younger generation, they're going to do that, but they're also going to have AI companions. If anyone's messed around with Grok yet, they have some interesting AI companions now. And it makes me scared a little bit because my daughter, I was talking to her and she's like, oh yeah, I was talking to GBT about Harry Potter. They know so much about Harry Potter. It's so fun to talk to them about it because she's like a diehard Harry Potter fan and doesn't have as many friends that are as diehard as she is. And so I thought that was so interesting that like if I talk to AI, I'm like, okay, how can I make more money? How can I learn about how many steps does it really take to go around the world and like all those different things. But she's like, hey, let's talk about Harry
Right.
Potter and what's your favorite, I don't know, school, or I don't know. They have like 4 clans or whatever they are.
So she's actually talking to the possibly the biggest fan available, like somebody that knows every single stitch of everything. I would wonder, like when she asked the question, like, what was your favorite, and it's injecting feelings, how that's coming across. Is it coming across like, are they talking to somebody and it's, hey, this is gonna make people less lonely? Like I'm trying to spin it because I hear what you're saying
Uh huh.
and it scares the shit out of me. Like I want people to talk to people again. Like that's the impetus to this show. Is it's just conversations, getting every 90 to kind of a character to see and a good, I hate to say role model, but a lighthouse in a Black Sea, a beacon of hope, love, like the positive shit that we can do and bring to the conversation. So, and good luck with the daughter. Like I had two, my oldest two were girls, still are. I have three bonus daughters, all older. Uh, Watched all get married except for one. Cried my eyes out. I've dropped girls off at
Oh,
college and cried 3 hours as I drove home from College Station. So I've experienced it. You're going to go through a lot worse what you gone through, but it's worth every bit. I mean, it's just awesome.
oh man, yeah. And that's one of the reasons like I love having these conversations as well, because it's like in the span of a lifetime, our time's so limited with our little ones, and I think that with each subsequent child that I've had, I've treasured the time a little bit more. And like going back to the beginning of our conversation, that's one of the reasons, like I'm making half the money I was salary wise 3 years ago, which is still something I have trouble processing sometimes, and going to the fact that the amount of money that I make through a salary doesn't define me as a person, a dad, husband, or friend.
Right.
Um, but with that, like the first 7 years of my daughter's life, I was in hospital leadership on call 24/7, 365, basically. And I think about all the time that I lost with her, and then trying to make up for it now, and also like spending that time more with my kids. So yeah, it's a bear to think about.
We learned. I was going to say it's where I feel the most empathy is my oldest. I was in the Navy and I was on an aircraft carrier. So my oldest, from 6 months to 18 months, in that 12-month period, we saw each other 10 days.
Oh man.
And yeah, and so we've struggled because she became so dependent on her mom that dad's not around. And then as by the time we were at my 7 year youngest, um, it was right after the World Trade Centers went down, and employment was sketchy, and I had a 6 month break from high tech, and I walked into school every day for the 6 months, and it's like I praise God that I was able to be out of work and go spend the 6 months with the youngest and experience something that I never got to see with the other kids. So I totally appreciate that time. I mean, it's just I think you're starting to see that you're getting older, they're getting older, and it's super exciting, and you want to freeze time.
Ugh, I wish I could sometimes.
Then they get older, and then they're adult children, and then you can like sit and hang out and watch a game and hang. It's like you're with your friends. So that there's always a positive to each phase. So I only had one other thing I was going to ask you. I was going to say, I'm wondering your opinion on the A1C measurement and what you think I mean, it just feels like it's a newer deal in the last 10 years, and maybe it's just newer to me, but I'm faced with one, and I'm curious of your opinion as a health professional on that phenomenon.
Oh, that's so interesting. So in nursing school, what I teach the students a lot is like usually we only talk about the hemoglobin A1C if someone's a diabetic, and then it's well managed if it's below like a 7 and you're diabetic. I think normally you want it below a 5. I don't have the values in front of me right now if
You're
you're not a
very
diabetic.
close. Yeah.
Um, but it's also I need to read into it a little bit. I've lost like 10 pounds over the past 4 or 5 months, and part of that is I started with some of my meals drinking apple cider vinegar because I read some
Okay.
research that talked about how it helps you with your glycemic index and processing those sugars. Again, I don't know exactly what it does or doesn't do, but it has something to do with glycemic control. And
Okay.
there's a lot of type 2 diabetics that I think are doing that as well to help control their blood sugars. But it's so interesting because, like what is fat? And it's like it's stored glucose for the most part.
Right.
And, your pancreas functions and produces insulin to keep those sugars down. But if you're eating so much sugar all the time, that's why a lot of people develop type 2 diabetes because their pancreas can't keep up with that. And so it's
Is it
interesting that
permanent damage, or is that something that's reversible?
so type 2 diabetes, if you have a good diet, strength train and do cardio, is what pretty sure the current research shows, a lot of people can get away from where they don't need to take supplemental insulin anymore. Um, I'd have to look up some studies to see how easy that is, but there's a lot of people that are either cutting down on their insulin injections and insulin medications just from making these miraculous life-changing decisions, moving their body more, eating better foods, taking better care of themselves, eating the right foods. It's so interesting how those little changes, and it's so hard in the United States because like everything is packaged, and I'm constantly going back to like the kids, like they have so many activities, and I don't have always the time to prep these meals for them. So yeah, do we go to McDonald's and Wendy's and all these different things? We do. And I know some people just jaw drop, and other parents are like holding their hands up and saying amen because it's hard to do all the activities and cook all these meals
Amen.
um, with all that stuff.
I hear you. I bring it up selfishly. Um, and I'm going to research the apple cider vinegar. I've done honey and apple cider vinegar before, and I've had some other, of these, I call them old wives' tales or medicinal things that are nature versus pharmaceutical fixes. And I'll have to look into it. Mine was 7.2. So by what you described, I was a diabetic. And in 6 months through 16/8 fasting and removing sugar or all carbs, cutting it back, I dropped back down to, I think it was a 6.1 or a 6.0.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah. So I fell back in. And now over the last 30 months, I've reintroduced Hershey's Kisses and, just everything from bread for, a sandwich, eating at Subway, all those things. And I've slowly come back to 7.2. And the instant reaction of my new general practitioner is metformin and, hey, your cholesterol is a little off, so we're going to put you on cholesterol medication too. And it's like, I don't believe in either one of them. And I showed before that I was able to do this through redacting carbs. And so I'm telling myself I'm going to take 6 months and do it again and retest my numbers. So I don't feel like I've got insulin resistance or that I've killed the system. Or, I was asking earlier, is it something that will eventually repair itself? I don't know if it's broke and I'm going to have to take some sort of medication. It's interesting. Some of my friends that I'm close that are kind of more natrio 50s yoga kind of people of, hey, maybe you might want to take the metformin. And I'm like, I don't know. So, anyways, I'm just curious if you're, and you can go research if you want. We can talk about it later, but I'm just curious if, what you think.
Were your parents or anyone in your family diabetics?
Not that I'm aware of. There was like high blood pressures, sort of like the only thing I can really think of, and 3 of 4 Alzheimer's. So, not bad and really good on that one, but nothing that was like heart related that I'm aware of.
Interesting. So yeah, because I know you can't fight your genes, and then because one of my responsibilities when teaching these students is, what are modifiable risk factors and what's not modifiable, and so
Are you saying in people that are not in the healthcare professional, what you have an effect on versus what you have no affectability on?
yeah,
Okay. Okay. Making sure. I'm a layman. That
yes,
was my
because
bad
like
joke. That was my bad joke for the time. So go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
I love it. Yeah, because it's always like you can modify your diet, you can modify your physical activity. You can't modify who your parents were. You can't modify how old you are. Um, and,
Okay.
and there's not really any, it's frustrating. And I feel frustrated for you because like I'm the type of person that's like, I want to be able to do A, B, C, and these are going to be the results. And then I'm going to move on with my life. But
Right.
everyone's so different, like where they live, the foods they have access to, who they interact with. And there's no test to be like, because what produces insulin, like your pancreas produces the insulin. And so, like, type 1 diabetes, I think that it's like you're born with diabetes, it develops over
Right.
time, usually starts to come through juvenile diabetes. It can occur at any time though, but
Right.
um, they know they're eventually going to get to the point where they're not producing insulin anymore. And so like, that's like, okay, I'm not going to produce insulin, got to adjust my life, done. But type 2 diabetes, like you can go back and forth, kind of like what you're doing right now, where it's like, I had the number that I wanted. Now I don't have the number that I wanted. So can I go back to this? And then it goes back to, what kind of life you want to live, because I've worked with some patients, uncontrolled diabetics that have lost feet, lost their legs, because if
Right.
you like, that's when your hemoglobin A1C starts to get like 8, 9, 10. You don't manage it all, and it can be really frustrating because you might not have money for test strips, you might not have money for insulin, you might not have money for the shots. Maybe you're cutting your metformin pills in half, and then the
Right.
next thing that happens is they get a cut on the bottom of their foot. They don't inspect their feet every day, like I'm sure you do, with a
Right.
mirror to make sure you don't have anything going on down there. And then next thing you know,
Every
they
morning. Every morning.
love it. And
I'm
then
teasing.
and the next thing you know, they have like a really bad infection because they had no idea that there was like a 5 millimeter hole in their foot, and now it's like down to the bone.
Right. Oh, we digressed. I hope nobody has that. I hope it's not in your life. I'm gonna go attempt through. He said, "Hey, it's you're because everybody's aware of my walking. Even my new doctor's aware. He's like, because of your exercise, I'm immediately going to put you on medication." And like, but you didn't ask how I'm sleeping, and you didn't ask about diet. And I'm like, I eat a bag of Hershey's Kisses a week. Like that's it doesn't matter how much I walk. That's like a whole shitload of sugar that's hitting my system, right? And
Yeah.
my body's trying to figure it out. So yes, I can affect it by not eating Hershey's Kisses, and I've taken that out, and I'm not doing any of the carbs and things like that. I'm going to try and shock my system. But anyways, we digress. I appreciate it. I appreciate you taking the time. I hope you've enjoyed it enough that you'll come back and do it again. And
Yeah, I'd love to come on monthly. That'd be, if you would have me, that'd be awesome.
no, let's do it. Let's do it. That's awesome. My last question that I had, because I write these things down in my hand. What's the biggest what's the biggest hack that you have gotten in, as you've gotten older and you're getting wiser, and you said you're about master of time management, and what's the thing that you've learned the most? Is it being on a calendar? Is it having better communication. What's the biggest thing that's, benefited your ability to be as best a person as you can?
Um, I think my mind goes to like personal relationship with my kids, relationships with my wife. But if I was going to strip that down even further, just to one thing, it would be micro sessions. So,
Yeah.
like, again, being a master of time and space, we don't always have time to go to the gym and work out for an hour. Because if you think about it, that's not just an hour. That's like 90 minutes because you're changing your clothes, you're driving there, you're working out, you're
Commute.
leaving, you're
Yep.
showering,
Yep.
and and so I think it's just really being like there's a there's some advice that I read in like Men's Health once, and it's like you're never gonna go to the gym, work out for 10 minutes, and be like, man, I really wish I wouldn't have worked out for 10 minutes. And so I think about that with my goals in life. Like I haven't posted it today, which I will, but it's even like taking that 10 seconds every day to being like create more, consume less. Like that's a motto for me, and that takes 10 seconds. If I can
Right.
go on a walk with my kids for 5 minutes, I'm never gonna be like, oh, I wish it I'm never gonna be like, oh, I wish I hadn't have done that 5 minute walk. Like sitting
Right.
down and talking with my wife for 10 minutes. So I think it just goes to like you don't have to carve out an hour, a half hour, 2 hours to do something. If you want to do something, go do it for 5 or 10 minutes, and it's just going to pay off in dividends, especially if it becomes like a regular thing. So I think that's probably like the biggest life hack that I'm continuing to work on, and with my family and myself.
That's great. I appreciate that. And I would take, and I don't think I'm adjusting your words, but I would say that what I heard you say and how I'm doing that in my life is I'm trying to be present
Yep,
with my
100%.
feet, right? I'm trying to be present with my feet for that 5 minutes because it's more important than an hour, event where I'm on my phone or I'm, kind of half, it's not there, you know what I mean? Where I'm not present. So I think I appreciate that. And I've tried to implement them in my life as well. I was 11 minutes late for a meeting yesterday because I was just on a call with a personal friend and I was engaged and I was just so present. I lost myself in the conversation and I always look at it, our greatest assets are our kryptonite. So you just got to, sort of make sure that you're preparing. So yes, let's do this more often. I appreciate your time today. Anything like as you were thinking about this, my last question, anything as you were thinking about this that you're like, I would be nervous if Robbie asked this.
Um,
I'm looking for a smirk here. Any, yeah, anything you were worried about? Like, do you
I
put
try to
sugar in your
live.
coffee? I mean, anything like that?
I try to. I mean, I try to live a pretty open life. So if you were to ask me, like, if I was sitting down with like I'm on one side of the table and Robbie, Gary Vaynerchuk, and my wife are sitting across from me, and they were like, "How did you spend your time over the past?" Like, I'm having trouble sleeping right now, but part of that is because I've been playing Call of Duty for like an hour and a half every night after the kids go to bed. So I think that
Okay.
like if you were to ask me how have you been wasting your time recently, I might say that. But it's a good release, and you still have to have your hobbies. But I think it
Do
goes
you
back
do you
to
chat with do you chat with somebody that in Japan and you know call them bad words, or is there anything that you're doing that's like just relieving stress? I mean, is that what you're doing?
I just love like gamification, and so like the mode that I play in Call
Okay.
of Duty is you're ranked, and I just like love moving up and being better than other people. Um, but it's also cutting into my sleep. I was evaluating, reflecting on my sleep today, and I've been averaging like 6 to 7 hours, not 7 to 8 hours over the past month. And so I'm like, Blaze, you need to put the controller down and not do that.
Yeah, I was gonna say that 1 hour a day difference over a month would definitely you'll start to feel it in your body. Blaze,
100%.
happy Wednesday. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for walking with me, and until next time.
Absolutely.
Take
Appreciate you,
care.
Robbie. Thanks for having me on.
Appreciate it. I think take care. Bye.
Bye.